This is courage. A sporting moment in time. Bukayo Saka. Such poise! Such noise!
Rog, to the football. Arsenal 3. The new Arsenal 3. Oh, the new Liverpool 2. Less a football match, more a 5-line poem on the human condition. Arsenal started the scoring in just the first minute, Rog. Martin Odegaard with a straight ball. Gabriel Martinelli with a diagonal run. Oh, it's geometry. And just like that, it was 1-0. But then it was that striker / evolution enthusiast Darwin Núñez who levelled things up. But just before halftime, Bukayo Saka put Arsenal ahead again at the far post. Dictionary definition judge Ivor Bennett time goal, Rog, changed the entire halftime speech of both managers right after halftime, though, as if the game wasn't joyous enough. Bobby Chompers, who came on as a sub, made his way onto the scene, lashed one home while looking at the ball to level things. But with 14 minutes remaining after Thiago appeared to have made some contact with Gabriel Jesus, Michael Oliver awarded a penalty that Saka so coolly converted. And is that an Arteta in your pants, or are you just happy to see me, Arsenal fans? The Gunners win it 3-2. What a game. What a team. I love them. They stay top of the table.
Just reliving that introduction gave me the tingling all over
so much.
again. You know, the levels, the layers of this story. Remember, 7 years and a day. This game came after Klopp's appointment, and almost a year since Klopp and a frustrated, beaten down Mikel Arteta had that real argy-bargy, all pushes and derisory waves and over-whitened teeth and hair helmets just flying everywhere on the sideline. And suddenly Liverpool walked out Arsenal a very different creature, a humble, confused being. It felt really like a must-win for them to fend off just a season of panic, meltdown feelings that are starting to swirl around. A seismic 11 points behind Arsenal, out of touch of the league leaders before kickoff, desperate to prove themselves to themselves. Their previously well-oiled machine, degrees of precision lost in every single area, and suddenly teetering, really, house of cards in danger of falling down. Their vulnerabilities, obvious to all. You saw it in the pre-game ceremonies, just a bewildered Trent looking like the coolest kid in class who can't quite work out why he's the one forced to wear the kick me post-it on his back. And Klopp talked about wanting defensive solidity and attacking unpredictability before the game. That defensive stability, Davo, it lasted all of 58 seconds. Holy crap.
I think it was actually a little less. An amazing move from Arsenal. So much speed. On the counter, so much, swinging the ball from one side of the field to the other. And Odegaard, when he gets the ball in the middle of the opponent's final third, you feel like he can put the ball anywhere to anyone in any possible way with any part of his body. He just made a beautiful pass straight down the inside of Alexander-Arnold, not being too defendery at that point. And there he is, Martinelli, just whapped it home.
Yeah, before the game, in my newsletter on Friday, I wrote about this game being all about how the hunter would become the hunted, and what ensued was pretty well the worst scenario of what even I in my devious evil could have had in mind. It was Odegaard, that slide pass in between Martip and poor Trent, and Martinelli's finish was true. Delirium, pandemonium, Emirates just alive, and then some. Arsenal really had just scored a goal that was ripped straight out of the Liverpool 2019-20 playbook. Clinical, counter-attack, collectively ruthless, bewildering, breathtaking, and even more so when you realise it was their first goal against Liverpool in 10 hours and 5 minutes of play, and it had taken them just 58 seconds to announce themselves in this one, to announce their pretensions, their aspirations. The bullied had become the bully, all ripple muscles and all, after working out in the gym madly, bro. Liverpool rocked on their heels, the 10th time in 12 games that they conceded first. Even I felt sorry for Liverpool, David.
Well, that may not be entirely true, but it's shocking. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I've been reading a lot. Both of us are obsessed with World War II and reading about the history of it. And I was just reading about the way that the tide started to turn in the war, and this realization that the Allied generals had, that the Germans hated defending. They loved getting off their blitzkrieg and just like letting their tanks go and all their missiles and like everything going at once if they got in first. But they didn't really like it when they had to sit back and counter. And this is what this felt like early on in the game, Rog. And suddenly, this Liverpool system that has been so dominant, that has been so difficult for other teams to play against, there seems to be this collective realization all at once across the Premier League that if you just get into them early, if you attack them early, you can expose some of their weaknesses.
The great GFOP at Sweet Bobby tweeted us with a big question. Who hugs Klopp when Klopp needs a Klopp hug?
Oh my God, great question.
Healer, heal thyself. Hugger, hug thyself. And we knew Liverpool's response in that moment would be definitive. And they did propel themselves forward. Huge credit to them. But even as they did so, it seemed more likely that Arteta was luring them in, wanting to create more space for his coiled attack to charge into. Martinelli, Odegaard, Jesus, Saka, also young, also hungry. And the game really had a feeling of a battle between one side who were fighting an existential fight, grappling with their own sense of self, and a young new crew who were taking over and knew that their opponent could do nothing to stop them. It was really like reliving The Wire. Marlowe Stanfield taking over from the Barksdales, filling the vacuum left by Stringer of Sadio Mane in this analogy. And just when I was savouring this completely stretched, ridiculous analogy, it struck me, Everton, they're always bubbles. And then reports of Liverpool's demise proved greatly exaggerated. Alexander-Arnold slapped a long, fairly harmless ball down the flank. Gabriel Dalid was robbed by the eager Diaz. His ball perfectly placed to evade the flailing rearguard. And Nunez, whom Klopp started despite his slow start, dove in to poke home. And God bless Nunez. Do you know, I'm old enough to remember that one Community Shield weekend when Darwin Nunez seemed generational.
King of the world. He was Erling Haaland before Erling Haaland. The eager Diaz. We should just call him the eager Diaz every single time we refer to him because he is just so eager. And what a fantastic Premier League player he's turned out to be. Great move, insightful move, speed, accuracy. Darwin Nunez getting a goal that, oh my God, every single part of the red side of Liverpool, all over the world, Rog, will have enjoyed that one.
Other than Neil Maupay, though, I can't think of a striker who seems to score goals only as a means to an end to just emit some form of shithousery. That like cry more Sally that he unleashed. I was like, oh my God, in that moment, this is what you're bringing? Why would you do that? But we didn't have time to even unpack this massive philosophical question, really. Diaz limped off, which set back Liverpool's challenge incredibly. What a player he is, more than any other Liverpool player. He seemed to one that could threaten the space that Arsenal were leaving behind. And on the stroke of half-time, we used to joke about Arsenal. And when I say we used to joke, I mean we took this joke and we swapped it for a dead horse, and then we proceeded to beat that dead horse to death. I mean, just like, and then when it was dead, we were like, dead horse, you're still getting some. And our joke, dead horse, that we beat to death was that Arsenal were never more vulnerable, Davo, than when?
Well, when they were like attacking the opponent in the opponent's final third.
When they were having a corner, we always used to say, Arsenal never more likely to leak a goal than when they had a corner. This was a team that honestly lived to leak full length of the field goals. You might not remember this, Arsenal fans, because you've taken that decade of misery, and replaced it with exclamation points of joy now. But this
was funny. It was funny because it was also true, Roger. Yes, it was a dead horse. We flogged it a long way.
Unless you were the dead horse.
But it was also true.
Even the dead horse saw the funny side. I think so. And,
even the dead horse was like, oh yeah, it was true.
Even beat me. But the reality was, it's as if this Arsenal side have just looked only at game film of their own last decade of lowlights and learned the skills to exercise the darkness. Because this was a Liverpool free kick deep in the final third. And that ball, David, cleared away. Honestly, you knew Arsenal was scoring the second the ball went to Martinelli's feet out there on the right.
Yeah, he is just... He's so quick. He has such speed of decision-making. And yeah, it was dangerous. My head was in my hands being, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no.
My head was in my hands because I heard Klopp's voice from midweek when he said, we need to defend the shit out of every situation. And even though that doesn't sound like Jurgen Klopp, it sounds like Ralph Hasenhüttl being strangled. This moment, really, Liverpool heard his voice too, but only the shit part, because the Brazilian charged through Hendo and Trent, who was woefully out of position, almost trying to cover in his agony and his angst, all those around him. An agony to witness him bleed out his confidence with the world watching. And as the ferocious Mane, Salah, Bobby press of old is now gone, it looks like Liverpool are playing with a force field that was once there but has now gone shields down. They are so vulnerable because of what they had in front of them is no longer there. And you felt that goal coming as Martinelli just charged forward, 4 versus 3. The ball rolled across. Gabriel dummied it. Saka slid in at the far post. Boom. Arms crossed. These Arsenal sellies, Davo. We love to read too much into sellies, which is it's a fool's game. But I do love these Arsenal sellies so much. There's a collective spirit to them, a swagging spirit, a seriousness, a purpose. They always meld into an instant group team talk. Boys, let's not let this stop. In that moment, Davo, I was like, oh my God, this is not a drill. Liverpool are rocked. This Arsenal are for real.
Yeah, I must say, when that goal went in, I was trying to remember Liverpool conceding any goal like that over the last 2.5 seasons, and I don't think I could remember it. It was, it's not just the force field that's gone, which I completely agree with, but I think that teams like Arsenal have enough creative talent and enough speed on the ball to go and press them in areas where they just don't want to be pressed. And all of these players, including Trent on that play, they're playing catch-up. They're trying to recover into position, and they're getting there too late, and Arsenal can make too many decisions too fast to sort of rock them back on their heels. And great finish from Saka, great run from Saka, great goal. And Arteta going insane on the sideline. He's playing the Klopp role.
And Klopp took Trent off at half-time with a twisted ankle and an even twistier narrative. Poor bloke, honestly, looked haunted on the sideline as if someone had just whispered into his ear, do you know, the Colorado Rapids own your MLS allocation rights. But there is life to Liverpool Football Club in the same way as really a heavyweight boxing champion will always have the ability to land a killer punch, because against the run of the play, honestly, Liverpool in the second half were less a football team, more just that Undertaker meme snapping back to life. Jota fed a pass, which I think technically is now known as an Odegaard, to the streaking Bobby Chompers, Omar Little in our completely overstretched wire analogy, and he lashed home low and true. 6 of the 6. Great finish. Great, huh? I mean,
yeah,
God.
Superb finish.
God, he lives to do in the Gunners. 10th career goal for Crazy Bobby against Arsenal. And the game suddenly so finely poised, tilting with narrative, slopping around with every attack, with really only City praying for the draw, which probably would have been title race over. But Arsenal, God love them, stepped up their intensity, their tempo, and Liverpool buckled. There was a passage of play in which Arsenal just started to kick lump out of lump out of lump at the Liverpool backline. I've never seen this. It was like watching fire. If they pulled up heavy artillery and started to blast it at Alisson over and over and over from close range, it wouldn't have looked more astonishing shock and awe than what we witnessed.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe I was watching Liverpool waste time and play for a draw at the end of the game.
But credit Alisson, amongst the craziness, he pulled off really heroic, outrageous save after outrageous save. But then, as the ball was recycled, how did you see it, David, the penalty?
I thought it was, I think that the guys calling the game did a very good job. I think that it was light, it was soft. I think Jesus went down a little bit easily there on not a lot of contact, and he went down late. But it wasn't enough for VAR, in their infinite robot wisdom, to overturn the call that was made on the field.
It's the kind of penalty that is an agony to concede. I know that because Everton have conceded it several times, and it is all about a matter of bad timing more than anything. But it is a penalty nonetheless. One I've seen given. I've seen Liverpool be amongst the recipients in seasons past. This was not Tom Brady roughing the passer, terrible level of call at all. And thus we had this moment, Saka, this young English talent, so calm amidst the argy-bargy that preceded the kick. You had Peter Drury, his commentary, an Arsenal fan, set it to classical music, and it is beautiful. He talked of broad shoulders and courage. It's really mental strength above everything in this moment.
He has experienced pressure from the spot like few others. He has suffered for that pressure, but now the Emirates braces itself for a perhaps pivotal kick of the football. These are broad shoulders. This is courage. A sporting moment in time. Bukayo Saka. Such poise! Such noise!
Alisson went the right way but had no chance, and every single Saka penalty, probably until the end of his career, everyone he converts feels healing. At Oily Sailor tweeted, Liverpool 2 points behind Bournemouth in the table as it stands. Starting to think that 9-0 beatdown was the most deceptive event in Premier League history. Davo, Liverpool ended up looking like Russell Wilson, left to seethe about a Gabriel handball not given off Jota. And there's definitely no consistency in those handball calls at all this season.
Or this weekend.
Yeah, just Sunday. But
yeah.
You know, it really is a band-aid, those complaints, on a real wound. I asked Liverpool fans how they felt at the final whistle, and Nathan Graff 10 tweeted, like an Everton fan. And it does feel like they are almost living in one of those swap body movies with Arsenal 2022. You know, Jurgen Klopp will realise he has just faced a mirror image of his 2016-2017 squad, who are buoyant and on the up. They've swapped places, like big 30 going on 30, face-off style. And God, how do you understand Liverpool in this week in which they now must stagger off to face City? A week in which CEO Billy Hogan has had to say that they do have a financial plan for finishing outside the top four, because the 101 million that they earned from the Champions League run to the final last season is such a key revenue driver for a team who do lack the sheikh oligarch kind of wealth. David, how do you understand it?
I mean, look, the first thing I'd say is that Liverpool did play very well in this game. They were beaten by a better Arsenal team, and Arsenal deserved to win this game. But Liverpool weren't atrocious. Liverpool weren't terrible. Liverpool played very well. And in most seasons past, that would have been enough to get a result, if not a win, down at the Emirates. So Liverpool still played very well. I think the most remarkable thing to me, and I don't want to pick him out as an individual scapegoat for this, but I can't remember talking about a big Liverpool game, and I don't think we mentioned the name Mo Salah once in this entire recap. And that is staggering to me. And that's not just Mo's fault. That's just about the offensive powerhouse that is Liverpool. Always Mo was involved. Either he's getting the ball or he's making things happen. And it's just not happening right now. It's just that chemistry just isn't quite there. But Arsenal are very, very, very good. And I think this is more about that story. There's always a tendency in the Premier League to be like, the team that wins are incredible and the team that lost were awful. This isn't the truth. Liverpool were very, very good. They just weren't as good as Arsenal.
Yeah, you look at not just Salah, who did do one of his cut inside moves and thrashed it goalwards and then kind of dropped out of the game. It's not just him, off a couple of percentage points. Hendo off a couple of percentage points. Verge seems to be walking around like bewildered. Do you not know who I am, man? Vulnerable. And what I do know is quadruple chasing takes a mental toll. And Liverpool are playing like a team who took all of their collective hunger and invested it in last season. That hero's journey turned March of Folly, which can end you physically, emotionally. That's what we're seeing. Liverpool almost like a dead battery to me. And what's fascinating is the reaction of an element of their fans in this moment. I look at it somewhat bewildered. There were on Friday and I think Saturday, the hashtag FSG out was trending on Twitter. There was someone, I read this on Friday's podcast, someone tweeted, "Can't stand this torture, man. Hashtag FSG out." And I was just like, oh my God. The torture of the quadruple campaign.
Yeah.
The torture of winning the Champions League. The torture of winning the league. I mean, that was a torture. That was a torture for Everton fans. I won't be candid. Like, I would love some of that kind of torture from my team in the face. That is modern football, though. There's a blip. And in the olden days, there'd always be someone at Goodison Park when we're playing like crap Everton, and there'd be like a moan, and someone would stand up, normally someone who wore their jeans around their ankles with their bum crack out, who'd stand up and just shout, "Get behind the lads!" And everyone would go crazy again. And I am fascinated. There's not a lot of that get behind the lads in modern football. But I think you're right. This day really was about Arsenal Football Club. This was a huge statement win. And at the final whistle, Arteta leapt in the air in a style of which flinging himself around I've only seen when I went to see a lot of Spanish people really on the Rio hat in the crowd at a Pogues concert in Barcelona. And as well he might. You think this time last season, Arteta was still reeling from the debacle of the opening to the season. Widespread demands. Arteta out. And his Arsenal now won 8 of their first 9 league games in a top flight campaign for only the 4th time ever. They've not been top 9 games into a season since 2016. And David, they seem to be getting better and better game to game. At Simeon J. Turner said, "This is amazing." We're now counting on Arsenal to try and stop the inevitable City trophy at the end of the season. Do you agree?
Look, I said a few weeks ago that I think Arsenal are legitimate title contenders, and that was seen widely as me just being like Arsenal's title to lose and, my own mental shithousery against my Arsenal supporting mates. But it genuinely isn't. I think this team are good enough to push Manchester City the whole way, and they're getting stronger and stronger. I wouldn't want to play them right now. I think they're terrifying. And I think they'll give anybody a game in the Premier League, and they will destroy teams if they keep on playing football like this. It's all gelling. The relationship between the manager and the players' relationship with each other, their relationship with the fans, just everything about it is really working. And that squad depth, the number of good players they have to coming off the bench to back up, they've got players on the injury list who aren't even there right now. I think they're terrifying.
Back-to-back statement wins. North London derby last weekend. This helter-skelter win on Sunday. Truly big boy wins with ferocious football, belief, resilience. Leeds United next. I tweeted this, that the title race could be down to Arsenal and Man City. Pep versus his protege, Arteta. That squad of Arsenal's ebullient Ewoks going toe-to-toe with one of the most potent giants English football has ever seen. I'll say Godspeed to the moon of Endor. And as Ric Flair once said, if you want to be second best, you got to beat the second best. Woo! Subscribe here for more Men in Blazers videos. And courage.